Hi, sixth graders. This is Mrs. Martin, and I am excited to be doing your first book talk of the year. Our book talks are typically just focused on great books here in the library and giving you a chance to think about some books that you might want to add to your reading list. And today, I'm sharing a variety of different titles and giving you a chance to consider those books. But also, I'm going to share a couple of tips about how to put books on hold, reminders about that. And I hope that at the end of this book talk, you will put some books on hold in the library. And when receiving a message from Mrs. Kump on Schoology, you'll stop down to pick up those books. We want to be seeing you down here in the library getting something great to read, even though the library isn't open in the same way that we would have liked to start the year. When I give a book talk over video or in person, I like to have the slides show information that looks like this. So this first book I'm going to be showing is a good example of this. Each slide will have the title of the book and the author's name. It'll have the book cover so that you know what the book looks like if you were to pick it up off the shelf or if you were to search for it on the catalog. It'll usually have some kinds of pictures or quotes or things that might make you think about, what the book is about. It might hint at some of the book's themes or characters or ideas and just get you kind of thinking about the story a little bit. And then in the top right corner up here, it'll have the genre of the book or the type, the topic, I guess if you want to think about it that way. In this case, this book is realistic fiction. So this story, while it's fiction, meaning it does come from the author's imagination, it is realistic in nature. So it's a story that, even though it's not a true story, it's written in such a way that it almost seems like it could be true because everything that happens in it is, real enough. It's true enough to real life. Let's go ahead and hear about this first story. It's called The Honest Truth by Dan Guyman-Hart. If you like a story that has all kinds of ups and downs, happy moments, and certainly some sad ones too, this would be a great book for you to pick up. Our main character, Mark, is 12, and he has been battling cancer for years. The cancer that had been at bay has once again returned. So Mark has decided that this is maybe his last chance to do something he's always wanted to, and that is to climb Mount Rainier in Washington. He runs away from home. He leaves his parents behind. He leaves his best friend, Jesse, and he brings with him his dog, Bo. They head off for this adventure to climb this mountain, and he brings a notebook and a camera and his dog, and they set off on this adventure. And even though Mark knew that this was going to be quite an adventure and a bit of a challenge, he had no idea what lay ahead and what kinds of things he might encounter. This story is told in alternating chapters. Some of the chapters, we see Mark's perspective and how things are going on his journey on the mountain. We see the other chapters written by the people searching for Mark, because when he ran away, he didn't exactly give all the details as to where he was going, and people are worried. They're wondering where he is, and they're looking for him. This story is absolutely a memorable one. There's a theme of friendship going on between Jesse and Mark, and between Mark and his dog, and of course that family element, as well as Mark trying to come to terms with the idea of having cancer again. The Honest Truth by Dan Guyman-Hart, I can't recommend enough. It's just a beautifully written book, and I hope that you'll try it out. Speaking of dogs, another dog story, The Last Dog on Earth by Daniel Arenhoft. This one is science fiction, and this story imagines a world where a mysterious disease is sweeping across the country. Maybe this one's going to hit a little too close to home at this point. But in this story, the disease is turning dogs into vicious predators, meaning it's taking our beloved friends, these pets, and turning them into these animals that nobody recognizes. Logan, our main character, doesn't like anybody except for his dog, Jack. And Jack doesn't like anybody except for his owner, Logan. They've been doing fine until this disease is taking over things, and people are afraid of dogs turning into these vicious animals. And so they're shooting dogs on sight. And Logan's parents are afraid that Jack might be the next dog to turn, right? To get this disease, to become this creature that they don't recognize. And so Logan and Jack decide they're not going to wait around until that happens. And with Logan's parents thinking they may need to hand Jack over to the authorities, Logan and Jack decide to take off. They set out on the run to try and find somewhere else to go before Jack gets, this disease as well. This is an adventurous story, a suspenseful story. Will Jack get this disease or not? What will happen if Jack does? The Last Dog on Earth, it's a real quick read too. Try that one out if it sounds good to you. Stormbreaker, this is the first book in a series by Anthony Horowitz, and it's in the adventure section. This one is always popular, especially if you're looking for a series of books. Alex, our main character, was told that his uncle died in a car accident. He knows, though, it wasn't an accident because he saw the footage, the photos, I guess, of his uncle's car after the accident, and the car was just riddled, covered with bullet holes. That's no car accident. He knows his uncle was the target of some sort of, something on purpose. Turns out his uncle was killed while on a top secret mission. His uncle was part of a secret spy organization, and now Alex is being asked to join that organization and finish the work that his uncle did. He finds himself in the middle of terrorists, and Alex, as a kid, has to outsmart the people who want him dead. Just a fabulous premise, I think, for a book. What a great idea to start a story with a kid who has to finish the work of an adult and a spy organization, and he has to learn all these incredible tricks and get all this technology to do so. The first book is called Stormbreaker, and you can pick that one up in the library as well as the whole series if you've already read book number 1. If you're looking for a different kind of series, something more fun and funny, Last Kids on Earth is just fabulous, and this might look familiar if you have Netflix, because this has turned into a Netflix show as well. Max Brallier writes this one, and Jack Sullivan is your average 13-year-old kid, except, it is the end of the world in his life, and he's been living in his treehouse with mostly just Oreos and Mountain Dew and video games. And that might sound pretty good, except in the meantime, he and a couple friends, as well as the school bully, are having to fight off monsters to stay alive. They are literally the last kids on Earth, and they are having to stay in this treehouse and try to fight off these monsters to save humanity. But actually, this is not a scary kind of story. This is hilarious because the monsters are not the smartest, and Jack and his buddies don't always have the best strategies. So you can check this one out. They've got lots of illustrations in this book too, lots of drawings, and so it's just plain fun. And if you've read the first book, again, we do have the whole series in the library in the humor section. I wanted to throw in one ebook selection to round out my book talk today, and I've chosen Stargazing by Jen Wang. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about this wonderful graphic novel, and then I'll show you how I found it using the Macinvia app. So this book by Jen is about two girls who are total opposites. I don't know if any of you have a friend who is the opposite of you, but I know I've been there before. I've become friends with someone I didn't expect to become friends with. Moon is everything Christine isn't. She's confident, she's impulsive, she's artistic. They grew up in the same Chinese-American suburb, but Moon is somehow unlike anyone Christine has ever known. But the two move in next door to one another, and they soon become best friends, even though they're pretty much as opposite as you could be. And then they start to share some secrets with one another. Moon tells Christine her deepest secret, which is that she has visions. She sometimes sees beings who speak to her from the stars. And that's where the title of this book comes from. And then Moon ends up in the hospital fighting for her life. Christine is wondering in this story if she can be the friend Moon needs now. Can she be that person, now that they've formed this friendship when Moon is going through something so hard? The way I found this graphic novel, and we have lots of graphic novels, by the way, in our library. So if you love graphic novels, there's a great way to find so many of them in our library too. But I wanted to show you using the Mac and Via app if you prefer to read on your iPad, or if you're sitting at home and you're wanting to read something right away, you don't want to wait to check out a book down here and wait for that Schoology message, let me show you how you can do that. You, I hope, already have downloaded that Mac and Via app to your iPad, but if you have not yet done so and you need my help, let Mr. Haakenson know. I'd be happy to come up and show you. Otherwise, another way you can get to Mac and Via is by going to our library homepage. So here, just as a brief reminder, here's our library catalog. This is how you search books in our library, the physical books that you'd find. So if you're wanting to come down here and get a book that you've checked out, this is where you look. These are the ebooks. This is the one I'm going to show you right now. This is where I found Stargazing. So I'm going to click on that. And again, you can go through the app. You do want to be sure that you're logged in under Valley Middle School for Apple Valley. Your login information for a student, it is your student ID number. For teachers and staff, it is your first name, last name. Everybody's password is your CoLab password. So I think for students, that is your last name and then the day of your birth date. There are lots of great ways to search up the books that we have on Mac and Via. The way that I decided to search for this one is I went by categories. So here I can search by, what adventure books there are, what animal books there are. I decided I was just going to look at what graphic novel ebooks there were. Looks like we have 89 in the collection. Again, these are just the ebook versions. So we have lots and lots of paper copies down here in the library. And I'm going to just keep on going. You can see we have lots of good options here. If it does have the little red circle with the slash through, that does mean the book is checked out. But you can place a hold on it, and the system will let you know with an email when the book is ready. So I'm just going all the way down here until I see there's Stargazing. And as you can see, this book is currently checked out. So I can preview it if I wanted to just open it up and get a chance to read a couple of pages to see if this one looks like a book that I might like to read. I'd get a chance to see a few pages here. And I love that about Mac and Via, that you get an opportunity to preview the book. Another thing you can do is you can click on the little eye icon on the book title here, and it'll just tell you some things about the book. So that's nice too. And if you decide that you would like to check it out, as you can see, because of this red circle, there is not a checkout option here, but I can request it. And if I press request, then the system will send me an email to let me know when the book is ready. Just a couple other quick reminders. There are lots of ways to find other books using our library homepage. I mentioned again that on our Library Media Center homepage, you can go onto that catalog, that Destiny Discover catalog, to look for books. You can stop down to the library here if you have a question, or contact me or Mrs. Kump on Schoology. I'd also recommend asking friends for recommendations, or keeping track of book titles that you want to request later in case a book is already checked out. One thing to take note of when you do place a book on hold, you might want to just take note that some of the books might come up with more than one listing. And that may be because some of the books are print copies or books that you'd see here in the library. Others are audiobooks, and others are ebooks. Make sure that you are placing a hold on the print book. These other ones here, you wouldn't want to place a hold on. Something we've run into with a few students is that they've accidentally placed a hold on a book that's later in a series than they've wanted. So just note that if it is a book in a series, there is the number listed next to it here in the series section. So for example, Arusha and the Tree of Wishes here is book number 3 in the series. And if you haven't already read books 1 and 2, you'd want to do that before checking out book number 3. Last but not least, when you place a book on hold using the Destiny Discover catalog, it will right away give you a message that says the book is available. But all that means is that the book is on the shelf. Please do wait for that Schoology message from Mrs. Kump before you stop down to the library. She is really quick. She'll usually send you a message within, 15 or 20 minutes. But please do wait for that Schoology message before coming down. In the meantime, if you have questions, come on down to the library, send me a message on Schoology, and I hope that you found something great to read on this book talk, or in terms of searching the catalog as well. Take a look around and let us know if we can help. In the meantime, happy reading.